Check this out, a successful movie made on less money than you spent on delivery last night. Sounds crazy, right? It's not. This is Curry Barker. He shoots film in his bedroom, edits on a regular laptop, and walks away with a massive box office numbers. Don't buy it, it's completely real.
I just watched Obsession by Curry Barker. Might be one of the best movies I've ever seen in my fucking life.
I just found out Curry Barker edited the entire Obsession movie himself, in his bedroom. The movie that's made over $200 million and became one of the most profitable films ever.
Now meet his polar opposite, David Zaslav. $250 million budget, 100-year-old studio. Stars, special effects, ads on every channel, phone and billboard inside. All the bells and whistles. Guess which one actually made a fortune? Spoiler not, who do you think? May 2026, Curry Barker's horror film Obsession hits US theaters. Budget $750K. Box office $179 million and counting. Weeks at the top of the charts. On money most studios would lose at launch. Unexpected, right? And can you guess the best part? He's not alone. At the same time, another guy, Kane Parsons.
So I just saw Kane Parsons' Backrooms by A24, and it is a phenomenal movie.
At 16 years old, also making a series of creepy videos about endless office hallways in his bedroom. Next minute, A24 drops $10 million and top actors on him. Opening weekend $81 million and counting. An all-time studio record that he tripled on the spot at age 20. Let that sink in. Compare that to Red One with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. $250 million budget. Bombed. Every dollar flashed down the drain. This all sounds like a movie, right? But no, it's actually real. Let's get into it. Today you'll finally find out how yesterday's YouTubers starting on their laptops outplayed an entire industry with budgets 100 times bigger, while literally every top film in recent years turned out to be a sequel, where $250 million actually goes, while they're telling you it went to the film. And probably the most surprising, what one of Hollywood's most powerful producers said about these YouTubers muscling into big cinema. That quote sounds like a verdict on his own industry. You think this is just conspiracy? It's not. Neither is it just the movie business. You'll figure it out soon. Stay tuned, it's going to be fun. I'm Max Evans. Here we don't just talk about hot business and social topics. We dissect how they work from the inside. Let's dive in. Let's be honest about one thing. Hollywood stopped making movies a long time ago. It's running a roulette table on repeat, and stakes are insane. Let's pop the hood. The average blockbuster today takes $120 million for production, plus another $150 million on top, just so you even know it exists. Trailers, billboards, ads from every corner. Total $270 million on the line before a single ticket is sold. And just to break even, the film needs to make $500 to $600 million worldwide. Sorry, what? Now look at who's been bleeding hundreds of millions on the biggest projects. The Marvels down $237 million for Disney. The Flash minus $155 million for Warner. Furiosa another $120 million in the hole. 3 films, over $500 million gone. And that's just what leaked to the press. Imagine what's happening behind the scenes. Be honest with me, with stakes like that, would you risk something new and weird? Run some kind of experiment? Yeah, didn't think so. In 2024, the top 10 movies around the world were sequels from existing franchises. All of them. 10 out of 10. For the first time in history. Not one original story in the top 10. Not because you love sequels. Because when the bet is $270 million, an original idea is scary as hell. So they keep rerunning the same stories and call it what the audience wants. That's the whole mindset. More risk, less imagination, same brands on repeat. Here is a great example. Joker. First one, 2019, $55 million budget, $1 billion gross. The studio's brilliant conclusion, more money equals better. So they poured $200 million into the sequel. And guess what? More money didn't make it more interesting. They just buried it in production, making it more expensive but not better. That's just movies. And while the bosses were scratching their heads how to get out of this hole, a few people were quietly building an alternative. Completely by accident. First was a Swede from Stockholm. No agent, no connections, nothing. Just his wife as the actress and an apartment instead of a set. How's that for a bitch? 2013, David Sandberg, Stockholm, shoots a 3-minute horror right in his apartment. The only actress, his own wife, Lotta Lawson. Budget? Less than a monthly Netflix subscription. You get the level. He posts it on YouTube, and the video blows up on Reddit. 18 million views. A producer finds him online. Warner Brothers buys the rights. 3 years later, a feature film and $148 million gross on a $5 million budget. Then they hand him Shazam for DC. Rags to riches in 6 years. Not bad, right? That's just one lucky guy, you'll say. Fine. Keep watching. Australia, the Philippou twin brothers, channel Raka Raka, shooting extreme horror gag videos. Stupid, bloody, over the top, with their own stunts. No film school, no industry connections, just YouTube. Their movie Talk to Me gets picked up by A24, $92 million at the box office. At the time, a record for that studio. And their story still is not the craziest one. 2026, Mark Fischbach, aka Markiplier, 39 million subscribers, no studio behind him. He puts about $3 million of his own into his indie horror Iron Lung. It opens in just 60 theaters. Then it gets wild. Under his suggestion, his fans flood local AMC and Regal theaters and demand this film. Period. The rollout expands nationwide. Final result, $51 million, 17x return. No A24, no Warner, nobody. Go figure, guys. 3 people, 3 countries, same playbook. And here's the thing you can't miss. YouTube is doing exactly what Hollywood producers have done for 100 years, testing whether someone can hold millions of viewers with no budget and no stars. In the old system, studios and agencies spent fortunes trying to find someone who could do that, with pilots, test screenings, meetings and lunches. Now the YouTube algorithm runs the same casting call for free in public every single day. It is a free audition stage for anyone with a camera. Don't waste it. And by the way, these YouTubers aren't a couple of outliers anymore. The creator economy will hit $480 billion by 2027. And the generation that grew up on YouTube is just now reaching the age when people make big films. This isn't even a wave. It's a tsunami and it's still picking up speed. Get your umbrellas, better yet, learn to build a dam. So one question is still hanging. Why Curry, Kane, the Philippous, Markiplier? What did YouTube give them that an $80,000 a year film school doesn't? There is one line that explains the whole game. Stay with me. The best part is coming, but first one personal thing. I make a video for the channel every week and the growth could be better. Honestly, the only thing that motivates me is literally the likes I see on every video. So please, if you genuinely enjoy this video, hit like, leave comments, subscribe. It really supports me. My goal is to help you to see the real truth in this fast-changing world. Now let's continue. Jason Blum, one of the biggest names in horror for the past 20 years, was asked directly, why did you bet on a former YouTuber? And his answer roughly, these guys have spent years holding a live audience at the biggest platform in the world. On YouTube, it is simple. Lose a viewer for a couple of seconds and they're gone. Forever. So the instinct to hold attention is hardwired into them. Let that sink in for a second. That's not a compliment to YouTubers. That's a diagnosis of Hollywood. A massive industry with billion-dollar budgets forgot how to do what these guys do on pure instinct. When Curry Barker was editing his film, he did the opposite of what you'd expect from a YouTuber. He slowed the edit down on purpose. He literally said, I'm making sure not to edit it like a YouTube video. Why? Because YouTube taught him one thing. Today's horror audience is smart. Everyone thinks they want more blood and jump scares, but in practice that actually kills the whole experience. Sometimes less is scarier. He took YouTube's main tool, knowing your audience, and flipped it inside out. An absolute legend, right? Here's the proof that drives Hollywood analysts crazy. A normal blockbuster loses 50 to 60% of revenue on the second weekend. That's the rule. Curry Barker's Obsession second weekend up 30%, third weekend up another 10%. Can you believe it? People went then dragged their friends. Pure word of mouth. Because they felt this guy is one of us. He was on YouTube just like all of us. And now his film isn't a real cinema. He knows what we need. One of ours, you might say. And here's where Hollywood simply can't catch up. Studios buy attention. $150 million on billboards and trailers. These guys already have an audience. Remember Kane Parsons? 2 full years before the first A24 frame, millions of people were already following him. They didn't come for the film, they came for him. But attention disappears the moment the ad budget runs out. trust stays with you forever. Jason Blum and James Wan, two of the biggest horror producers on the planet, talk about this new wave. They say these kids make bold, weird, wild films, and it feels like the 70s again. And here's that quote from the most powerful producers. "These guys are saving our industry." The same YouTubers nobody believed in, the ones everyone laughed at. But why can't Hollywood with all its money just do the same? And where does all that cash actually go? When they tell you $250 million went to the film, that's a tough sell. Maybe they're just throwing hundreds of millions at the wrong movies. Or is it some kind of money laundering situation? Makes you wonder, right? Forrest Gump, 1994, $678 million worldwide. Oscars, a cultural legend, a film for the ages. Now sit down. According to official studio documents, this film never made a single cent of profit. Not once. Sorry, what? Sounds insane, right? But it's completely true and totally legal. It's called Hollywood accounting. Here is how it works. The studio charges the film for its own expenses. Office rent, manager, salaries, various fees paid to its own subsidiaries. The more successful the film, the more expenses you can pile on. On paper, a hit can quickly become a loss. Documented, officially. So no profit equals no tax. And no payment to net profit participants like writers. All the profit goes back to the studio. And this isn't a one-off glitch. A rom-com Yesterday, 2019, $153 million gross on a $26 million budget. 6 times over. In studio filings, a loss of nearly $88 million. A screenwriter went public about it. This isn't a bug in the system, guys. It's a feature. Remember Red One with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson from the beginning? That one that crashed and burned. Johnson alone took home $50 million for the role. One actor, a fifth of the entire budget. How about that? Now watch closely. This is where your brain might break. Over 2 years, Warner Brothers dropped from $50 billion to $17 billion. Nearly 4 times smaller. Let that sink in. During those same years, the CEO quietly pocketed nearly $50 million in 1 year. That same year, the industry cut 17,000 jobs. Studios were burning, but executive pay was climbing. That's how this works. And yes, completely legal. Remember the guy with the laptop? Curry Barker made his film for $750,000. He was director, editor, and screenwriter himself. 20 days of shooting. $179 million gross. Now compare him to the man at the very top, David Zaslav. In 1 year, he pocketed dozens of times more than Curry Barker's entire film cost, while the studio under his watch lost half its value. Go figure. So the question isn't whether Hollywood is dying, it's what comes next or who, and the answer is already here. Ready? Remember I asked at the start, how's this even possible? Well, now you know. YouTube spent 20 years accidentally building a system that does 3 things at once. Train directors to fill their audience, builds them an audience before the film even exists, and does it all for free. No agents, no studios. None of that magic where the profits disappear. That's the whole secret. While Hollywood was counting paper losses, YouTube quietly grew its replacement. For free. Why now, you ask? Remember Kane Parsons, who at 20 made A24's biggest hit ever? There is your answer. YouTube launched in 2005. This is the first generation for whom YouTube isn't a tool. It's their native language. They grew up inside it. And there are more of them every year. Less risk, more swings, perfect setup. So YouTube isn't a competitor to Hollywood. It's a new film school. Open 24/7 for anyone with internet. And unlike the school that costs $80,000 a year, it doesn't take your money. It pays you if you're good enough. And everyone gets a shot. The next Spielberg doesn't need Hollywood, it needs subscribers. If you already knew this, respect. If not, now you do. If you liked the video, subscribe so we don't lose each other. More great stuff coming. See you next week.